Hey guys, Filmsuit here. So, first off, I would like to apologize for not keeping up to date on reviews. I had a bit of a hectic month being occupied with school and my other occupation. So, here's what's new. I just saw Killing Them Softly. Well, I didn't just see it, I saw it 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I again been lazy, so and busy. So, bottom line, this is not what I expected it to be. I'm actually kind of disappointed to have to report on this. I mean, I still like the movie, but not enough to recommend it. All right, so the premise is so it starts out these two guys played by Scoot McNairy from Argo and Ben Mendelsohn from The Dark Knight Rises. They play Frankie and Russell, and Frankie is just this small time crook who doesn't really have money and needs the money to pay off some debts. I think actually, no, they don't even explain. Anyway, I'll get to that later. And Ben Mendelsohn is Russell, who's this doped out Australian junkie who's always seen walking like 10 or 20 dogs all at once. So they get this job to rob a card game held by Mark Trapman, played by Ray Liotta, who actually doesn't even get that much screen time either. We'll get to that. So they rob his game, which is worth $100,000. But Russell, being the dimwit he is, goes out and starts bragging about he just knocked this game over. So then this mob enforcer, played by Brad Pitt, named Jackie Cogan, he's called in to kill them, to kill both Frankie and Russell. However, there's a bunch of complications. Like he wants this one hitman named Mickey, played by James Gandolfini, to be his partner on the hits. But Mick is so washed up in booze and addicted to prostitutes, and his personal life is just a mess, and all he does is really just get drunk and babble about how bad his life is. And so that's one thing that goes wrong. And the other thing is Mickey's character. I mean, not Mickey. Mark has a personal history, kind of a bad reputation since he was responsible for knocking off a game beforehand, which makes him a suspect. So what happens? So yeah, and then on top of that, Jackie is having disputes with this man only known as the driver, played by Richard Jenkins, who's only willing to pay him $10,000 per hit instead of $15,000. And so, yeah, that comes into play later. So, I will say, there's really good craftsmanship in this movie. For starters, very well shot, very well edited. Sound design is fantastic. Some of the tricks they do with sound in this movie are just brilliant. However, and also acting. The acting is great. Like Brad Pitt does a really good job as a menacing hitman. James Gandolfini, even though his character really doesn't serve a purpose to the story at all, despite that, he actually does a really good job in it. And who else? And then the two robbers, Scoot McNairy and Ben Mendelsohn, they're actually the main stars of the movie. They both did a fantastic job, especially Mendelsohn, who you might recognize as Daggett from The Dark Knight Rises. He was great. He was funny. You loved him, but you kind of hated him at the same time just because of how stupid he was. So, let's see here. Really, the cons is the writing. Like, it wasn't sloppy necessarily, although this is kind of sloppy. This is a spoiler alert here. Mark's character, so Ray Liotta. Okay, so they talk about how a few years prior he was responsible for knocking off a card game, which put the whole mob in recession. Yet they like him enough to still keep him on board and trust him with other card games. Let's see. If this were a Scorsese mob movie like Goodfellas or Casino, they would send someone like Joe Pesci in to kick the living crap out of him until he died. And Ray Liotta does get the living crap kicked out of him at one point, but they still let him live after that? It's like, either they're soft, and like the mob in this movie is too soft, or they're idiots. Honestly, like, ugh. So that's one thing. Another thing about this movie is, like I said, James Gandolfini's character doesn't really serve a purpose to the story at all. He does nothing. All he does is just... I did say James Gandolfini, right? Anyway, yeah, all his character does is just sit around and give these very lengthy Tarantino-like monologues about stuff that has nothing to do with the story. And sure, maybe Quentin Tarantino was an inspiration on this film. I could kind of see if he was. But still, that, like, leave that kind of writing to Quentin Tarantino. Seriously, this is like the millionth movie I've seen where they have a character who does that, just gives a lengthy monologue that serves no purpose to the story other than to give them some depth, and it just comes off kind of pretentious. And let's see here. Also, what else? Oh, another character issue I had is so this character actor, Sam Shepard, some of you may know who he is. He has a very, very, very small part in this movie where he plays an enforcer named Dylan, and you've seen his one scene in the trailers. It's only 40 seconds long. It's just him. He walks up to Ray Liotta's trailer, bursts in, throws him out a window, comes out and says, "Hey, don't act like a baby. Come on, let's grab a beer." And it's like, he's supposed to be the most ruthless mobster in this movie, and they only give him that one scene. Here's what the writer/director Andrew Dominic should have done. He should have either A, kept him in this movie and given him more scenes, or do what, going back to Tarantino here, do what Quentin Tarantino did with that character, that movie True Romance, with the character Blue Boyle. Don't show him at all. Just talk to him and emphasize how important he is just by referring to him off screen, instead of just giving him a very pointless 45-second cameo. And, also, here's another complaint about this movie. Throughout the whole movie, so basically the premise, it's how the mob is struggling to survive during the recession. And I was actually very intrigued by that, the mob during the recession, because I mean, like, we've seen several other movies about the recession. We've seen movies about Wall Street stockbrokers in the recession. We've seen movies about a cupcake business in the recession. Yes, I just referred to Margin Call and Bridesmaids, but we've never actually seen a crime movie about the recession. So I was actually really looking forward to that concept. But Dominic's idea of executing that premise is every other scene having some kind of commentary in the background where it's either John McCain, Barack Obama, or George Bush talking about the economy collapsing. That's really all it is. And it's like every other scene. Like, the first two uses of it are brilliant. Like, the first use of it goes back and forth between an opening credit scene where it opens up with a title card, and there's this eerie violin music in the background, kind of like Paul Thomas Anderson's "There Will Be Blood." Then it cuts to McNary's character walking out of this dark building with the Barack Obama commentary playing in the background. That was done very well. It cuts that and just does this excellent cut back and forth between opening credits with eerie violin music to McNary walking with the Obama music playing in the background. Very well done. Second use, I didn't even realize this until it was going on, but the robbery scene, by the way, I will say that this moment of the movie is probably the best part of the movie, is the robbery scene. So when Mendelsohn and McNary, when they rob Leota's poker game, what happens is there's TV in the background and there's no music. There's no suspenseful music or anything. All you hear on the TV is you hear some kind of commentary playing, and you don't even realize it, but it is John McCain talking about the recession and just the fact that he's talking about the economic collapse as these two morons are pretty much causing the mob's business to collapse right then and there goes very well together. Like, honestly, that was a very good use of metaphor in film. Then afterwards, it's like every other time that they use commentary like that in the background, it's almost like it's just there to be there. And it's like, okay, we get the point. The first two uses made the point clear. Now you don't have to use any more. So, yeah. And then also, don't cast Brad Pitt and bill him the main guy if he's not even in it that much. Like, he doesn't even have that much character development. All his scenes are golden, don't get me wrong. It was pretty fun watching him just be this menacing sociopath who has his own principles. Like, that was fun to watch, but don't make him the main character. In fact, they should have just cast someone lesser known. Like, I don't know. They should have cast, like, an independent star or something to make the movie better and just make this a straight up indie film instead of trying to build it up as this big blockbuster mob movie. So yeah, bottom line, really good craftsmanship, strong performances, very pretentious writing, and so yeah, I'm still generous enough to this movie to give it a 3 out of 5, but yeah, I still wouldn't recommend it. Alright, tune in a few minutes for the Silver Linings Playbook.